Hello world, welcome to the 54th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Rally. I'm going to try to put on some gloves so I can last longer this time. Presently it is 30 degrees out, which is minus 1.1 Celsius. And it's kind of odd because by Christmas Eve, somewhere in there, hold on a second, So by Christmas Eve, it'll be approximately 52 degrees, which is 10.5 degrees Celsius or so. So it's very weird. That's what's happening. This is the 54th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Rally, as I said. And I'm here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. And right now, as usual, nobody's out and nobody really cares the fact that they're going to die here in the next 10 years, but whatever. This is 1 year of doing these protests now. This is the last broadcast of the 1 full year. And, Tanya will be out here in a little bit with me, hopefully in about a half hour. It's a very weird feeling because over the past year, I think we've had 4 people total come out and actually stand for a whole session. So, and that's counting Wilma, and then 2 others came for 1 day. So that's about it. That's everyone. And it's really sad because people aren't getting how dire the situation is. I know I keep saying it's dire, but by 2023, everyone will know someone who is profoundly affected by climate change. That's happening in Australia right now, and it's coming home to roost. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But by 2023, everyone will know someone who's been profoundly affected by climate change, whether it's loss of a house or fires or floods or some sort of damage or hunger. That's coming along too. Now by 2026, give or take a year or two, it might be earlier, you're going to be profoundly affected by climate change. You're going to see the effects of it, whether it's the grocery store shelves, whether it's flood, fires, drought, whatever, deluges of rain. You just don't know what you're going to get. And it's going to be a horrible situation, and everyone's sitting on their hands doing nothing, waiting for the next election, whether you're on the Trump side or the Democrat side. I don't care. Frankly, both parties are ridiculous, and I'll talk about that later. So, with the 2026 date coming up, that's only 6 years from now is what I'm saying, and the world's changing real fast now. Australia's having fires around all of Australia now, and their low temperature is 97 degrees throughout the whole continent, and some places are 123 degrees. The roads are melting, you got wildfires going on. Sydney is basically, the capital, Sydney, Australia, is surrounded by fires. It's choking smoke. You see these people protesting, you see shots of the bridges and a shot of the Sydney Opera House, and your media is not covering it. It's covered in smoke. You can't see the places. So the U.S. media, for example, is not covering it at all. If they do, they don't associate with climate change. They're doing a real criminal action, and the reason behind that is because the 6 media outlets are owned by 6 families, basically. That includes newspapers as well. You really got to ask yourself, why are they doing this? And I can't come up with an answer other than there's a sickness going on. It's a dogmatic Democrats versus Republican ideology going on in this country, and it's happening in most countries. They turn this survival issue into a political issue, and the political issue ends up being a survival issue. So it's a real problem we have going on in this country, Australia, everywhere. Now, Russia is deeply seated with Putin, so it doesn't matter. Whatever he says goes, and he's supremely evil as well. But I'll talk about all these politicians in a second here if you hang in here with me. Next week's rally will be on the 27th of December. That'll be number 55, and that'll be the beginning of year 2, which is really sad because a year ago when I started doing this, the CO2 was somewhere around 408, 409 parts per million. Now it's at 412, okay? So, and by May it should be pushing 418, 420, somewhere in there. And it's meaningless to most, but understand this. Humans have only existed and the climate has been stable when it's below 280 parts per million. Right now it is at 412. If you factor in like methane and nitrous oxide and different elements such as that, the equivalency goes way up into the 600s. So we're in really big trouble. I don't understand why things aren't being progressing along. I can tell you one reason, and I'm going to lay into it real fast, and hopefully you guys won't get turned off by what I'm about to say, but you got to hear this. And as far as it's the whole blunt truth as to what's happening in this country and also around the world now, okay? So the COP25, which was a climate change conference, ended last week, and it was in Madrid, Spain. Yes, you don't know about it, you never heard about it because the media didn't report on it. It was the biggest conference in the history of humanity, and it's the one conference that could have saved all life on Earth. And what did the United States do? Donald Trump sent a contingency of people there to deliberately thwart what was happening. They argued every issue, they tried to negotiate stuff down, they tried to stymie it, and Australia went along with it, Russia went along with it, India went along with it. All these countries are culpable in our deaths, okay, and your leaders, okay? When your children start dying, look no farther than your leaders, whether it's local, statewide, or national. So Donald Trump sent these idiots over there to do this stuff, and it was absolutely sinister what happened. This is a political issue. They've turned it into a political issue. It's a matter of survival, and literally we're all going to die as a result of his attitude and what he did. The United States still leads the world. However, we're leading the world down the pit of hell. All right, so, you know, if we don't take action on climate change, we're done for. And right now, my heart of heart does want to believe that it's possible, but my head knows the actual facts, and I think we're pretty well cooked. I'm going to still keep doing these things, but I don't see how we're getting out of it, because now they kick the can down the road another year at the COP25 conference. So, whether they argued every issue or not, and thwarted every episode or not, was missed by the press, missed by the public altogether. It wasn't reported on. Y'all don't even know the COP25 happened, except for about 30 of you here listening. So the re-election of Donald Trump is going to be the end-all to end-all, and I'm begging the Republican Party not to re-elect him. Put someone else in that understands climate change. Please, please, please. It's a matter of survival. I don't care if you guys win or not. If Trump stays in, the guy is mentally ill about climate change, okay? He calls it a hoax. He doesn't listen to the science, and we're literally going to die as a result of that. And he is leading the world as far as not sending proper representatives, not taking action. In fact, he puts sinister people in charge of all the administrative positions that are against climate change, okay? So they're doing everything they can to hurt us. They're not being forward-thinking, not thinking about electric and all those types of things. So if he gets reelected, you might as well kiss it all goodbye, okay? And that's a fact. Now, not that the Democrats are that much better. The only one last night in the Democratic debate was Bernie Sanders that actually knew sort of what's going on. Bernie still thinks there's 8 years to act on it, and there isn't. We don't have 8 years. We don't have 8 minutes. We don't have 8 seconds. We needed to get on this 30 years ago, and we're not doing that. There was one New York Times article back in the 80s or 70s that said we're headed towards an ice age. And that was picked up by all the media, of course, because Exxon knew the difference and knew that wasn't the truth. We're headed towards the global warming situation. But Exxon and the media, they picked up on this one article that said we're headed towards an ice age. And everyone believes, oh, that's what they said, that we were headed towards an ice age. Now we're headed towards global warming. It doesn't matter. The science bears out we're headed towards a severe heat, and it's going to be a hunger situation and other things that, you can't eat food. You're not going to be able to live in your habitat. You're going to have to leave, and billions of people are going to die. That's just a fact of everything going on. So the Democrats did their debate, and most of them really don't get it. And if they're not talking, and they gave, out of the 2 hours, they gave 7% of the whole 3-hour debate, for climate change, which was 13 minutes. 13 minutes for our survival, okay? That's all they allowed, and then they went on to other inane questions that really don't matter. In 3 years, this kind of stuff, that they ask these kind of questions, if people look back at it, which they won't be able to because you'll be too much of a panic as to what's happening. But if you look back, you go, oh my God, what were they talking about? That's absolutely crazy. So, we need a whole shift in thinking, okay? We can't keep having these politicians, whether local, state, or national. For example, our governor here in this state is all about natural gas fracking and everything. Natural gas is nothing but methane. Methane is a greenhouse gas that's up to 160 times worse than carbon dioxide for the first 2 years, and ends up being 86 times as bad over the next 20 years or 30 years. Hey, Skip, how you doing? So had someone stop by. That's cool. We can't keep doing fracking. We can't keep doing fossil fuels. We need a whole systemic change. The United States is all about cars, SUVs, and trucks. That's our whole thought process. So hopefully people start coming out and start doing something, but right now I'm suspicious that that's not going to happen, and it's going to be a sad day when I watch all my friends start getting sick or dead or whatever. But you can't keep expecting things to keep going on as normal. They're not going to. So hopefully, for year 2, people will wake up and start doing something and demanding change. I'm sad to say year 1 ended on almost the same note as what I started, is by myself. As I said, Tanya will be out here in a half hour, but in 1 year of protesting, 54 protests, and locally we're not getting anywhere. And people think it's okay, and it's not. You got a local college here, you got retirees. People should be turning out on every street corner at this point. The only way to get political change is to put boots on the ground. And at this point, that's not happening. So no change is going to happen. And we're giving ourselves a death sentence at this point. So next week will be December 27th on Friday. I'll be out here 11 o'clock again for year number 2. And hopefully there'll be some good news. But there doesn't ever seem to be good news because there's no action being taken. And we're just going to keep floundering along as we always are. So hopefully see you then. All right, bye-bye.